All right, guys, welcome to the show. Before we get started with our super awesome guest this time, I want to remind everyone we have a sponsor for this episode, Dyzana Sports, makers of the SF joggers and the Grind Air gloves. And actually, if you go to our Facebook right now, you'll see we have a link where we're doing a giveaway of the gloves. So all you got to do is click the link, and you got to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and if you follow us on YouTube too and subscribe, you'll get extra little slots and chances to win the gloves. And so before, without any ado, I can't wait to get to talk to this guy. We have Jason Edwards of Tampa Bay Damage, many teams. We're going to get into it all. But to get the conversation rolling, we're going to do this the Carl Markowski way, because I know like maybe our listeners don't know a lot about you. What was the first time you played paintball like, and what was the experience like, and what about it did you love so much?
The first time I played paintball was probably just like everyone else, just out in the woods with some friends, and it actually came from playing BB gun wars, which was extremely unsafe. Got told about paintball by a cop, and he was just like, "Hey, you guys can't keep playing out in these woods. People keep calling on you." Basically, scared us into playing paintball. So myself and a bunch of baseball buddies went out and got some cheap guns, went out and played, and immediately I was hooked. Like I always wanted to join the military, never actually did. But, shooting at, your friends and stuff, it was like such an adrenaline rush that it was all I could think about. And I just, right after that first time playing paintball, I was hooked. I said every dollar I could and just went and got better gear. And then just, all spiraled from there.
Yeah. So what was the first field you went to, and what was the experience like? Like what kind of fields did they have?
So the very first field I went to was a private field owned by a paintball store called Paintball Shack in Orlando, Florida. I don't even know if they actually owned the land, but it was, you still had to sign a waiver and everything. It was straight woods. I mean, it was so long ago, and it was basically just twigs and everything thrown together, branches. But they brought a lot of people out there. I mean, if you played way back in the day, it was never, a dull weekend. Almost any weekend you played paintball, there was hundreds of people there, it felt like. So this private field, which was just this one woods ball field, I think we had like 50 something people out there, and it was just like literally in the back of a neighborhood, and they were good. They obviously owned a paintball store and all their friends, and they were already playing tournament paintball. So I truly did not get to play much recreational paintball. I went straight from that to playing tournament paintball.
Nice. I kind of was going to lead into it. What was your first experience tournament? So when you were growing up, it wasn't the up airball yet. It was still like the old school style when you were starting getting into tournaments.
Yep. So it was all old school. There's corrugated pipe. There's a lot of spool fields, lots of woods ball. It wasn't so much like I was kind of at the end of the just straight woods ball transition. So there was like the plywood bunkers. They always had netted bunkers like in the 50s and like crazy stuff like that. But yeah, it was more like the spools, corrugated pipe, and plywood for me.
All right, cool. So what was the first team you were on?
Very first team I was on was called Extreme. I think it was Extreme Assault is what they call themselves. It was the owners of Paintball Shack. Man, it was forever ago. Crazy colors like neon green and bright purple. It was a husband and wife, that owned the store. So it was their team. Pretty sure she got to choose the colors. And but back then it was like, it was cool to be bright and shiny, even though you played in the woods and stuff.
Right. So, like, at what point in time did you realize that, like, oh shit, I'm pretty good, and you started to like climb ranks and join better teams? Like, at what age?
I think I was 13 or 14 that I realized I was actually pretty good at the game of paintball. And like I said, there was no rec ball for me. And like I want to say maybe a month, maybe 2 months of recreational play, and then I played my very first tournament. And then within that very first year, I played my first major tournament, which was Mardi Gras Open. I think I was like 13, maybe. So it was a wild place to be at such a young age. Yeah, and luckily my dad took me out there and went with me. My mom. So my whole family played paintball the exact same time. I was the first person to get a gun and play, but I convinced my mom, my dad, my sister all to play. So they actually joined up with us on that Extreme Assault team and played. And then we went from, there to, so many like national events as a family. And so correction, the first team I played for, their field ended up, they bought a field after a paintball shack, ended up being called Extreme Assault, I believe. But the team name was Diamond Cavaliers. That's what it was. I drew a blank on that. So, yeah, it was Diamond Cavaliers, and it was purple and green.
And
Epic name.
your family still follows you around today? I believe I've seen them at events. Or I mean,
yeah, they used to. In the last 2 years, they stopped. So, like when construction took a huge fallout, they went into semi truck driving, and they were team drivers. So they actually were able to be at every event location based on like the loads they would get. So it worked out in their favor, and it was awesome for us. But now that I have 2 kids, my mom's been doing the nanny business for me at home, and my dad has been traveling doing like security installation work. So they haven't been at the events in the last 2 years except for World Cup, which everyone misses them because they definitely stood out, especially when coaching was allowed.
So, at what point in time did you get linked up and start with the whole damage thing? Because we've had Kyle Barry and Joe Barrett and people on, and they've talked about trying out for you. So, when did that whole thing start happening and how?
So the last 2 years of the Philly Americans, Joey Blute approached me often, tried to pick me up to get me to join Damage. I'm born and raised in Florida, but I've played for the Raiders, I played for Rage and everyone, but I was stuck on Philly. Like that was the team that I thought I was going to retire in paintball on. We were all such a close knit team. Well, in between the team actually folding and then Joey Blute, begging me to come play, he had me guest with them in the 7-man MPL Vegas event, which was the final event for MPL in the year. So World Cup already ended. I was basically out of contract. So I told all the Philly guys, Adam Gardner was going to go guest with them. I had no intentions of staying with Damage. I fully intended to guest, get paid what I was going to get paid to play the event, and then come back and play with Philly in the next year. I had a great time at the 7-man event, so it kind of made it a little harder to tell Joey I wasn't going to come play for him. But then when I got home, I saw the email from Adam Gardner that said the team was going to be folded and Smart Parts was going bankrupt. So initially, I immediately called Joey back and negotiated my contract and switched over and played for them. So that's how the whole Damage thing actually happened for me.
No, that's awesome. So you at ICC, you play with the Philly Americans?
Yeah. We all get back together and play.
Oh, that's awesome. So I'm assuming you're looking forward to this year. Everybody is, right?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't played a major event since Vegas. I'm dying inside.
Everyone's itching.
Yeah. I just made it back to the paintball fields 2 weekends ago. So I was completely doing the isolation thing, not going out, trying to stay quarantined because we were getting ready to have the new baby. Well, the baby was born, everyone's healthy. So I went out and played 2 weekends ago, and God, I missed it.
It felt nice, right? By the way, before we get, congratulations again on the adding to your family.
Yeah, thank you.
So tell us a little bit, because I know you guys finished pretty well last year. So talk about the ICC last year and your guys' games and how everything went for our listeners that maybe who don't know.
Okay. So the very first ICC year, Philly won it. It was, a smaller event, obviously. Tended to know how, big it was going to be, if it was going to take off. We won it. The second year we went out, we might have partied a little too hard and didn't play up to par. So we didn't even make the top 3. Last year, we decided we would try a little bit harder and party a little less, which everyone knows in 10-man party is just part of the game. But so we took it a little bit more serious, and we went out there and we ended up getting second, I think. Either second or third. I don't remember. We didn't get first, and that's what matters. But we got second or third. So this year we plan on taking back our trophy.
Yeah, for sure. I remember you guys doing well. That's why I wanted to let you kind of brag a little bit and show everyone a little bit who's good. Because who did
yeah.
It was Dynasty, Image, and then them.
And then
Yep. And we were playing way better than it seemed. Even some of our prelim games didn't go as well as we thought they would, but we were definitely playing really well. We do have a tendency to not acquire a full squad previous of ICC. So in the last week or two, we're always scrambling to get the last 2 bodies. But everyone steps up and plays really well there. I think almost winning again, is going to give everyone that itch to take it even more serious this year, especially with it being probably the first major tournament of the year since Vegas.
Yeah, I'm super pumped. I play on the amateur Ground Zero team, so I'm same thing. It's our first big tournament since the first ICPL. I'm ready to just get after it, man.
Yeah, I'm glad we at least got the ICPL, or else we'd all only have one event in this year. So at least we got that one. And I played with Cap in that one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I play on the amateur.
Yeah, we got second, and we
We took
we
second
only
in that
stalemated
too.
one game. Yeah.
You guys messed up
It
the
was a
body
fun
count.
tournament.
It seems.
Yep. And I think Glenn said something on the board too, and like he said it correctly, and we were all like, "Oh, are you sure?" And we went out there and had the count right, we had everything, but we weren't sure how many body differentials we actually needed. And it was funny because it all felt wrong to everyone that was playing the point. Like Tim's like, "No, we're good. This is the body count. This is what we have. This is what they have." And I'm like, Jacob and I, my brother, are right next to each other, and I'm like telling him like, "Yo, they should be attacking us. They need another kill, right?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then little by little, like the last 30 seconds, I was like, I don't think this is right. I feel something weird. Like we need to get a kill. So we were all running out of air and everything because we were just sitting there shooting lanes like idiots. But yeah, it's funny because then if the stalemate happens and a couple of us were like, usually we figured it out and we know what we're doing. All right, cool. We won. And then Archie's like, "Hey man, nice game," because he was playing with Infamous. Nice game, like too bad we won. And it was just so confusing that both teams were like, "We won." And we're like, "Oh god." But Travis had the right math, I guess. So yeah, they ended up winning.
Yeah, I definitely remember there were a lot of standing in the middle of the field at the end of that.
Yeah,
everyone's kind of like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah, it'd have been nice. We actually were like, "Can we just replay it and like just not try to stalemate and just try to win and see what happens?" Because like you can definitely win on that hybrid field out there.
Yeah, I love this whole ICPL thing. I think it's really fun. I'm really enjoying myself.
It is. Yeah, I love it. It's definitely like a nice break from the NXL, like the airball style tournaments. So, and you get to kind of mix and match your squads, and no one's out there like saying, "Hey, you have to use this equipment," because everyone just knows. Like, I don't go out there and grab a rotor, right? Like, I'm gonna use a control loader. I don't go out there and try to use a cocker, even though I think they're awesome to shoot. I'm gonna use my CVO. Yeah, exactly. So like everyone just like plays their role and knows what they're supposed to do, even though everyone's on like oddball teams.
No, and I love it personally because like I've only been playing paintball for about 6 years now. I didn't get into it until I was later in life, and I talk about this all the time. So I'm sure I'm repeating myself for people listening to us all the time. But like the opportunity to play like the second ICC, the one that Dynasty won, they were the team we lost to in the semis. We won our first game, we lost to them, and I was like, who has been playing paintball for 3 years gets a chance to take the Starbucks against Dynasty? Nobody. If I'm playing X ball, that's like a 10-year process.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what I love about
I don't do
format.
mixed roster or was it mixed schedules or anything like that in the XL anymore. Like when I came into paintball, even if you were an amateur B team, which was like novice at that point, you still had to play a pro team.
Right.
Like there was always this one pro team in your bracket, and it was cool because sometimes you won. Like, and it was just didn't even matter if you got like your face kicked in the rest of the tournament. You beat the All-Americans or something. Like it was just such a highlight moment for you. So that was always cool.
Right, that's what I love about it. That's why I try and get everyone to come play. But I guess Tim doesn't need my help. That shit sold out again in 5 minutes or whatever.
It's insane. Yeah, they oversold slots and had to refund money, which is even crazier.
I'm sure because people are buying slots like at an alarming rate. So it's like overload.
Yep, exactly. They beat the website. Like before the website could shut them down, they were still selling spots.
That was one of the greatest things. So, I think we finished 17th or whatever, pretty respectable. But I was so happy that the top 25 got the guaranteed slot. So I didn't have to sweat it out because we had our captain Steve Casano waiting with the clicker to make sure he got his money in.
Exactly. Yeah, you have to. It's insane.
Hey,
but the guaranteed slot, I thought that was a great idea. Reward the people who are playing in it previously and doing well. So.
No, right, for sure. And so, everyone you can play with damage, blah, blah, blah. But at what point in time do you get involved with Bunker King? And what's your role with Bunker King now?
So 3 years ago, Virtue sponsored Damage about 4 years ago when the whole rebuild happened and everything. Was it 4 or 5 years ago? I don't know. It was forever ago. But I've always been the guy that was negotiating the sponsorships, working closely with Virtue and them. When Virtue acquired Bunkerkings, there was an open role in that side to work with Max. Prior to that, I just immediately went and worked with Virtue when they brought in paint, and I was going to try to help sell their paint and the baseline, which was their rental, lower masks and everything like that. They distributed that. I was going to try to help them push that. So I was pretty much brought in as a sales rep. That transitioned pretty quickly into handling a lot of the social media and everything else for them, trying to get my face more on the forefront of the business. Because the owners, Mike Newman, Vice President Chris Williams, super smart, awesome business people, But Mike played in Division 2 recently, and then kind of like stopped playing. He's doing like triathlon stuff. Chris played way back in the day with like the Paraplegic Turtles and teams like that. But none of them play anymore. So they have the Ormrod brothers, the coach and a player for Uprising. But when I came in, it was just they felt like it was the right place to put my face in front of the business to help say, this brand's associated with a current pro. Max was starting to slowly, fall off and do a lot of other projects that he had. And also just time zone differences. It was pretty hard for him to stay on track with everything that Virtue's doing. Virtue was a lot more of a go-getter business than Bunker Kings, was. They're a lot more chill, we'll make it when we can make it type thing. So I moved over to Bunker Kings, started working closely with Max to try to acquire more U.S. teams. So I stepped into a sponsorship role and everything like that. Then it revolved into basically just being the brand manager. So my face is the Bunker Kings brand, right? So I'm the one that has to test the products. I help, a little bit of R&D. Obviously, they're the brains behind it. They make it. I test it. I say, this is what I like. This is what I don't like. Try to find all the glitches and bugs the best I can. And that's another thing that we use some of the pro teams for, and even some of our semi-pro teams, they help test the gear. But yeah, so my role now at Bunker Kings is the brand manager, which honestly is just a little bit of everything. So, there's a lot of hands inside Bunker Kings that people don't know about that is always helping and trying to make everything perfect. But if you ever have a question or if you're, wonder who's testing a product, it's probably me, like either answering or testing. So yeah, that's the role now.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know because Virtue's on Long Island here, and that's where we're both from. So, we've definitely seen Mike Newman out at Cousins Paintball. I actually was an assembler like 4 or 5 years ago, assembling, Virtue boards and whatever, soldering stuff and all that back when they used to make boards. So I always know, Mike's been at it a while, never pro or anything like that. But I mean, his big thing was like, he's an electronics guy by trade. So he wanted to make the board, and then he ended up going into goggles and things like that. So now I know kind of bringing it back to, Travis is on Ground Zero and stuff like that. So I know Bunker Kings was Max Lundquist. It was Will Arroyo. I mean, I don't know how much you know of that, storied past, but I know for a while Will wasn't too fond of the Bunker King thing. Some falling out happened, but I was glad to see that, kind of amends that, Ground Zero was sponsored and picked up by Bunker Kings, I think, this year. So I don't know if that was something that you had a hand in or I mean, I don't even know how that came about. I don't know if he reached out, you guys reached out, but it seems fitting since, Max and Will were part of Bunker Kings, and now Ground Zero is part of Bunker Kings again. So, I mean, was that something
definitely.
that
so that was
go on?
Yeah, so that was me. Archie and I were like talking back and forth about a bunch of different things. Archie from Ground Zero, and so we basically put it together. I tried to help out Will and Archie the best I could, and then obviously spiraled that sponsorship down to the pro Ground Zero as well as the other divisional Ground Zeros. It just seemed like the right fit, and I thought it was a really cool concept to get them back involved. And I know Will was like super stoked about it, so it felt good to have that, rekindling connection right there, which was really cool. So, and it was nice seeing them. I mean, I literally got everything done with Archie, I think a week before the ICPL. It was so last minute between going back and forth, trying to negotiate it, make it the right deal, that I had to ship the product to my house and drive it to them at the ICPL. Since I live in Florida, it wasn't a big deal, but that's just how long it took to get everything perfect and back together. And then by doing so, I also got to hear a lot of cool insight about, the history of Ground Zero with Bunker Kings, having Will, Max, and everyone. So it was pretty cool to learn more about the company that I'm actually working for, even though it's, honestly now a completely different company in a sense. But it still has, you got to know your roots, right? So it was a good learning experience for me. This was a cool year for that.
No, for sure. I appreciate that, because if you didn't do that, I would not have had this pack. So if you didn't make that drive, I appreciate that.
Yeah, we were able to secure a decent amount of the controls, the packs, the pads, and pants. But it was definitely one of those things where it was like, all right, like I actually had to put, product off to the side and be like, I know this deal's happening. Like, I know it's going to happen. Of course, it's going to happen last minute. But I was like, so at the end, I'm like, Archie, this is what I get. This is what you get. Let's do it. And I'm like, cool, sign. Let's go. I did actually get Will a little bit ahead of time to say he knew it was going to happen. So I sent him his stuff so he could do a little unboxing video. And, I know he likes to play with those things. So he seemed really excited about that.
Yeah, he has a ton of internet clout too. That was a good move.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like a Photoshop king, right? Making all kinds of crazy memes every day.
Every day,
ridiculous stuff. Yeah.
Too funny. So, going into the control and stuff like that, how much R&D did go into that? I know you guys were kind of using them the year before you guys were playing, but like really, like what went into that?
A lot. So, I mean, it had a different feed logic. So it's a lot of testing with that. We knew we were going to try to make it extremely small. So like,
that's what I love about it, by the way.
Yeah,
like so
me too. I thought I was going to hate it. Like I thought, first couple points I did notice, say the 20 ball differential from the Spire 3 to that. I did notice it, and I was not familiar with the weight of it. So I couldn't tell when I was like about to be empty or anything. But since I've used it, I actually feel like my marker setup, my gun setup is way more comfortable, and I believe my shot's more accurate. And if you go back and like, for me, going back and looking at history of being shot, my loader hits have like minimized, tremendously. So I have a lot of like belief that it helps me, get out of the way of paint and gives me like better field awareness. But yeah, so for the R&D in it, when I first got it, I was like, all right, it's too small. Ended up falling in love with the size. Second, we had quite a few glitches in it, honestly. And it was because we were trying to make it too simple. Initially, it was just a tap of a button and it would turn on. Well, every practice mine was dead. We couldn't figure it out. It was turning on in my gear bag, and there was no, time off delay. Set a time off delay. That didn't work in scenario games because you spend an hour camping waiting for the perfect kills. So had to fix that. We made it such a small profile that the board was basically touching the bottom of the loader, which was changing the modes while I was playing. So, I mean, it was the video we made was dead honest. There was 18 months of practicing and figuring out how to make it perfect. So, nothing's perfect when you release it. It'll never be. You're always going to find a glitch somewhere or some kind of issue that needs to be fixed. But I would say it's probably one of the most successful products that was released. The fact that there was such minor like imperfections on it that is going to be easy to fix on the, control loaders, second round, that I'm extremely happy with it. And I wish we had the ability to test all the products that long, but you don't always, you're not always able to do that. There's a lot of money that goes into, securing purchase orders and stuff like that. So you can't always just sit on it, but that was one that we knew was going to be a make it or break it for Bunker Kings. So I'm super excited that it has been a success for us.
Yeah, no, I've only used a rotor. I used a rotor for like 5 years. It's the only like loader I've ever used, and I just recently switched to the control, and I love it. I love how small it is. Like everything, it's perfect size, and yeah, and I find like I'm not getting clipped in the loader so much. I mean, I've only been using it for a little bit now, but yeah,
and I mean, even the control angle indicator feature on it, it's one of those things that got bad, feedback in a sense in the beginning, and it was hard to explain to people that it wasn't supposed to be used in a match. Like I don't want anyone to ever lift their gun and look at the back of their loader and see if they've got the right lane. It's a training aid. So I think once people started to understand that bad feedback actually went away, and I've noticed a lot of people using it, and not everyone's willing to post and say, man, I'm practicing at home, check out how much this is helping me. But on a personal level, the messages I receive, it's awesome to see that people do actually care and want to train and make themselves better, and that it's something that is helping people. So that was like another awesome thing about the control that I fell in love with, was not only are we helping people on the field, but we're giving them something to do off the field to make them better paintball players.
No, for sure. And especially with the whole COVID thing, even though it's starting to calm down a little bit, I mean, it was a good drill to do at home, but by yourself.
Yep, definitely.
So what are your feelings on big games?
Do you enjoy them? You can see the picture behind me. That one's actually from the skirmish, Invasion of Normandy. I try to play the Wayne's World Grand Finale down here in Florida every year. It started off as the family vacation per se, because I climbed ranks extremely high in paintball. Like I said, I didn't play divisional for very long. I went pro at 15. So maybe 2 years of divisional paintball. So I wasn't able to continuously play in events with my family unless I sandbagged, which back in the day was easy to do. But, it eventually you start to get noticed, right? So for me, it was it was like the thing I look forward to every year. I've only missed it a few years. There's always something, whether it was a teammate's wedding or, like had a kid or something. But yeah, I play in them every year. I used to try to use guns that I wasn't using all year. Like, so the one behind me, I'm using a Lux. That's one of the places we filmed the control video, stuff like that. So I knew it was going to be all over the internet. So I needed to use what was going to, was a sponsored like gun at that point. Luckily now, with DLX still being associated with Shocker, I can use a CVO. So like when I go to a big game, I'll hardly ever use an electronic gun. Like I try to always use a CVO. Prior to that, I always used like the auto cockers and stuff. Plus paint's so expensive at those games. Like, I mean, you gotta go out there and try to one ball a little bit. So if I do play in a scenario game, a big game, I always play semi-auto. Like I try to one ball as many people as I could. I will say the most surprised I've ever been was at Skirmish Invasion of Normandy, because I had no clue that gun hits did not count. And the first game I played in was like, the opening scene. So these people are trying to rush into the woods and get on like that beach line, I guess. And we're trying to like fight them back. And I'm just smashing people in their guns and they're just still shooting at me. So, like normal, player, especially a competitive person, I had to like, wear a few people out. And then I realized that like they were allowed to continue to play with the gunshots. And then I just started aiming for the head. But, a few people might have got overshot a little bit in the beginning only because I thought they were cheating me.
No, there's a field by us where they allow gun hits too, and like I don't play there that much. I mainly play in my sponsored field, and I just never hit the first time I like played there on a legit walk on. I'm like roasting dudes. I'm like, none of these people are going out, yo. This place sucks. And then the next dude's like, yo, gun hits don't count. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, well, that's
exactly. Yeah, it makes you feel like an idiot, right? You're like, exactly, and you can never die. Like if I get into a building and gunshots don't count, you're never gonna dig me out. Like I'm gonna shoot so fast, and when you get closer, I'm gonna just blind you the heck out of everyone. So yeah, I don't think I actually ever left the field unless I ran out of paint.
Yeah, right. Like it blew me away too. I don't get that whole no gun hits don't count. But what was
it? Remind me of old laser tag, because like laser tag, I would just turn the gun like this, I'd block my sensor, and just smash people down, and like that's what it felt like. Anyone that got the drop on me, I would just literally catch it with the gun and then shoot them, and I'm like, yeah, that's how you win.
Here they go.
Yep.
So what was like your favorite big game? Like what's like the best time you've had at a big game?
This one might have took it, honestly. And it was, I just went with the Virtue guys, but for me, it's always going to be one of the grand finales at Wayne's World because the family's there and stuff, and it becomes a whole, cookout and camping. At the skirmish one, we ended up renting a cabin, so it was more of like a vacation, guys thing. But there's definitely, I can't like remember the exact one, but there was definitely some big games where it was like me, my dad, everyone out there, all of our friends. But I will say, I think it was 4 years ago, we had over 100 people from my divisional team program and damage guys out there at Wayne's World. And it was so unfair that they made us start Saturday on one team, and we pushed the team back into their base so much that they turned around and made us play on the other team on Sunday to try to balance out points. And then when the grand finale came, they basically just said, you guys go over here, and everyone from the scenario game goes to this side. And it was just, we were just, whipping them back and forth. It was the first time I've ever seen someone replay a grand finale 3 times. Like they had to stop it, restart it, let everyone go back to their ends, start, smash them, and then, go back and forth. So that was fun. It probably wasn't the best thing for the scenario game, but it was a lot of fun. And there was a couple damage guys that have never played a big game before. So trying to explain to them that you can get 200 or 300 kills in the first few hours, that they just couldn't fathom the idea. And then when they're out there and they're like, dude, I think I've shot 1,000 people. And I'm like, yeah, you probably shot the same guy 1,000 times, but hey, it's pretty close. Like you probably got 300 kills easily. So yeah, that one's probably going to take the cake.
Yeah, that's what I love about big games too, is like you just crawl up over this hill and the next thing you know, there's like 30, 40 dudes just chilling there. And you're like, all right, here we go, baby.
Yep. Until the tank comes. Once the tank comes, then you're like, well, it sucks. Yeah. Like now you just look like a coward running away, but I'm like, I'm not wasting paint on this thing. Like, nah, I'm going to shoot everyone that's walking behind that thing.
Oh, yeah. Or I love more recently, it's the first strike rounds of the big thing. As soon as you hear that thing whiz over your head, everyone's like, first strike rounds, everybody down.
Yep. Hide. Yeah, you can tell when it rips a palm from in half. You know it's a first strike round.
Mm-hmm. It's a whistle that goes over your head. They are cool. Yeah. They are cool. I've shot them before. But yeah,
Yep.
it's just funny to see everyone's reaction. It's like, dude, you're
Oh,
in a
yeah.
bunker.
I mean, it
Just
just
don't
flies
peek.
perfectly straight.
So
Yeah, it makes
straight.
no sense how straight it shoots, how far it shoots. Like I have I think it's a Tiberius. Looks like an AR-15. I got it just because I wanted to experience what it was like, and I mean, it's cool, man. Like I'll never downplay airsoft, mag fed, anything like that. Whatever gets the rocks off, like do it, man. But like it's cool. Like the gun legitimately feels real, looks real. You're dropping magazines out there. Like it's pretty hardcore.
Yeah, I had a die damn for a little bit, and it was fun to whip out the first strikes every once in a while. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. And when I
I
had a
just don't want to
diadem, I
get
never
hit.
used the first strike round, but yeah, I still, even the diadem I thought was really cool. Like, it's just if you want to play war, that's the way to go. Like go out there and
Right?
play that. I mean, you can dress the part, shoot the part, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, exactly. So talk a little bit about the training program that you have with Tampa Bay Damage and like how that all started and how much that's grown.
Like the divisional programs and everything.
Yeah.
So when we were doing like the whole rebuild, there was definitely a lack in Florida paintball, and it wasn't so much just because everyone said damage was dying, blah blah. We're all going to quit. It was just in the last few years prior to that, it seemed like it was really hard to get onto a pro squad. Where back in the day there was 5 professional teams in Florida, everyone wanted to be on a pro team. There were fields everywhere, so like people weren't really fighting each other, knocking each other out. But like now, it is competitive. Like the fields don't try to help other fields, teams don't try to help other teams. So our like thought process on that was we never have the time to go out and do clinics, right? We are trying to better ourselves as a professional team. We need to get back on the top. So the best way to do that was to build a divisional team from the bottom line all the way to the top. First year was super successful. I think we had like 160 kids in the program. The problem with a pro team having a divisional program is everyone thinks the pro team is stealing the money. No matter who's done it, that's always the rumor mill. It always happens. And I can firsthand say the Damage Pro team has never taken money off of the divisional program. The only reason a pro team would have a divisional program and not take money from them is it helps your sponsorships. It helps you acquire better sponsorships. If I say I have 60 guys in my program that are willing to switch over to your product, if you help the professional team, then sponsor more likely to give the pro team more. So that's typically where it happens with that. And that was the building blocks of the divisional program. So we acquired all these kids, we brought them back into paintball, and we were teaching them. A lot of people thought they were going to get more one-on-one attention. They didn't understand the pro team still needs to go out and practice. The pro team is going to practice pro teams, et cetera, et cetera. So little by little, it fell off. We got nitpicked from quite a few other teams around here, but the awesome thing behind the whole like scenario is that although we lost a ton of the kids in the program, we rebuilt Florida paintball. Like right now, if you go to a field in Florida, you're gonna wait 4 or 5 different sets to get on the board on any given field because there's just so many people playing. And there's all kinds of new teams that have been built off of basically people that were a part of our program. So I don't regret it. I wish that maybe I had more of a insight on how to do it, and I could have probably done it better or reassured people. The hardest thing for us was acquiring coaches to support the people that we were picking up. We were building so many like divisional teams. We were relying on one good player basically to not only play but to coach the team. So that's where it continuously became an issue because this team over here might have a team that's willing to coach people and be there every weekend. So they were able to nitpick and pull a few teams or players from us. So that was, that's the problem with what happened with our divisional program. We did have super successful team work their way all the way from D2 to semi-pro, which was the TBD Jits. Hopefully they will continue to play. They did not make Vegas due to financial reasons, but then also with COVID happening, they're all at that age now where it's kind of like the make it or break it. Maybe they're going to come back and play, or maybe they're going to go hang out with their girlfriends or get jobs or whatever they're going to do. That's going to take time away from them. But we also have, our Division 2 team, which came all the way from like D3, which is the TBD Killers, who now just go by Killers. We're not like forcing any teams to use Tampa Bay Damage as like an acronym before their team name. We want them to have the freedom to do their own thing. We practice them. We help them. They use the same sponsors, like pretty much 100%, not always, but they just won Vegas. So I think we're still on the right path. And it also worked better for us to narrow down the amount of players we have because now we can really focus all of our energy onto making, 1 or 2 teams a lot more successful rather than trying to build up a bunch of teams. The final reason why we did do the divisional program was our budget went from being way up here to way down here during the rebuild. So we weren't able to help professional teams come out to practice us, and we weren't able to go practice professional teams. So we basically picked apart the best semi-pro players that we could find in the area and built a semi-pro team. That first year, that's pretty much the only team we would practice before events. Now, we've allocated enough money into our budget that we're able to either help pro teams come down, or we'll fly to play a pro team because we know that's what it takes to actually win an event. So we don't practice our semi-pro team during event weekends too often. We'll give them a few points here and there, but typically we're always looking to practice a professional team. So that was the final reason for why we thought we needed a semi-pro team in our ranks as well.
You definitely need to make that travel. It seems like, from what I hear from a lot of people, that's the way to be.
Yeah, exactly.
So the other thing I wanted to get to is the training videos that you've been releasing. I think have been great. And do you still plan to do those and release like little trips and whatnot?
Yeah. So when I was doing the ones actually in the field, for me, that was way easier. I had a guy that actually helps my damage organization, Tom Fox. He's the one that kind of coaches all the lower divisional teams. He was like the camera guy for me. He would always take all the videos. I would just do the explanations and stuff like that. Little by little, we've slowly, fallen off of that. Like I said, we're trying to work a little bit more hands-on with the teams that we have. And just one of those things where once you stop doing it, it's hard to pick it back up. But we definitely plan on making more of those. The other thing that's just hard is getting field time at our fields. Like I said, you're always fighting for field time, even as a pro team. Unfortunately, you have to tell people the name on the bunkers is our team name. It's our field. We need to get on the field. You guys got to step off. But that always comes into an issue. And then with COVID, like there was no going to any paintball fields. So I started trying to do some at-home videos. I released quite a few of those, just like different tips, training, stuff like that. But it's always been easier for me to write it into a blog, which I put it on the Bunkerkings website. You can see it, read it, feel it. But I do think that most people are visual learners. So if I had a place to actually just go out on my own and do it, it'd be way easier to make videos of it. And that is the plan. I've actually talked to my managers and everything about maybe during the week sneaking out on work hour, go out and make the videos when no one's there. Just a lot easier. Like I have so many videos where the background noise or the things people say just shouldn't be in videos. So, it's a lot easier when no one's there. So that's the plan for that.
Yeah, for sure. So we've had Kyle Barry on before, and I know he plays on the ML Kings, and I think a couple other guys in the area. Are those people you see a lot at the local fields? I think you all practice at Central Florida Paintball, right?
Yeah, so Kyle Barry has a ton of heart. That guy plays every weekend, almost every day. I think he has nothing else in his life but paintball, which is awesome. And, it's made him go from what he was to what he is now. And he's definitely a skilled paintball player, and he's probably one of the best players on the Kings. So it's awesome for him. He has been running points with us the last 2 weekends because his team, for some reason, will do drills on Saturdays or something like that. And I think it's just because the field's a little less empty. We go out and we practice the killers on the off weekends on Sunday, not only to try to make them better, but they're really good Divisional 2 team, and they play a similar style of paintball to us, so it helps us sharpen our skills. So he's played with me the last 2 weekends, but yeah, he's almost always at the field. I know you guys had a few other people are saying anyone that's in Florida that's trying to get really good paintball typically would play wherever Damage plays. So as of right now, that is Central Florida paintball.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
and we try not to we try not to push anyone off the field, but if it is the Killers are a Tampa Bay Damage divisional team, we try to give them the majority of the spends. But every once in a while, we'll throw games in with other people, or we'll do a street ball day where we just go out and play with whoever and try to spend as many points. Obviously, we have more paint than most kids out at the field, so we're able to play a few more points. But paint sponsorships aren't what they used to be, so you got to use your paint wisely.
No, for sure. I know what I was trying to say is we had Joe Barrett on before, and he talked about what you went through for your tryout, and he lived on $7 a week on food and sacrificed a lot and then didn't even make it, and the struggles he went through.
Yep.
Was really an amazing story.
Yeah, so Joe came down on, I would say the wrong time. The first time he tried out for Damage was the peak. It was the peak. I mean, we could pay J-Rab to be on the team. We had Dave Baines, you had me, we had everyone. You had my younger brother and Keith Brown, who weren't even paid to play, but they were superstars right away, right? Like they never sat. So he's trying out for a team that's already established, winning event after event after event during our like prime. So it was unfortunate for him. He showed a lot of heart, but I think honestly, him not making the team is what made him the player he is today. And I think he would vouch for that. And so, you know, the struggles that he went through, you know, it's just part of the process, which sucks. Like we've all gone through it. I've never been to a homecoming, never been to a prom, probably lost numerous amounts of girlfriends I could never even name anymore. But, you know, it is what it is. Paintball is my life. And, you know, every person that's ever came into my life, that's been the story I told them. And, you know, the wife I have now, she understands that. Like I'm doing this with you guys now. I'm off the clock, but you know, she knows like it's paintball. So and that's part of the process for everyone. Like you're not going to go pro unless it is, you know, your whole life. And it's hard to say that and it's hard to accept that sometimes, but Joe is a valid point of that. He was with us. I didn't cut him. He had some, you know, personal issues and he ended up moving back to New York. He wasn't the player that I was going to fly back, you know, for a practice. Like it just, we didn't have the budget, right? So if I told him he could stay and find a way, then he could be on the team still and we would continue to use him. He went from here to, he was going to go back to New York and then he ended up going to California and, you know, he got on DMG and that's awesome. Like he's been a leader on that team. So it's awesome for him because I know he likes that role. So just all part of the process. But yeah, he's another guy that he was at the field every day, every weekend. So he's put in quite a bunch of time to be where he is.
No, I talk to people a lot about like just being better and really it goes to anything, but if you want to be great at anything, you got to sacrifice almost everything. I mean, to be great at anything, they say most people give up because it's stupid to keep trying. That's what it takes to be great. And a lot of people don't realize that.
Yep. Yeah. And you just got to always know that you're not great. Like you might be really good, but you're never great because every time you think you're the best, someone proves to you you're not the best. And like, that's been a reality check for me. Like lately, like I went from being the super fat kid to extremely fit to now dad bod. Right. So I know a personal level, I've got some weight to lose, speed to build back up, flexibility to earn. And, you know, it's just, that's the thing you put into your spot really quick as soon as you think you are the best. So that's something that was one thing that I stressed to Joe Barrett and Kyle Berry. Both of them were, I don't know if it was the New York flavor or whatever it was, but you know, they talked very highly of themselves in the beginning, and we made sure we beat it into their heads that they were not as good as they thought they were. And with that being said, they became such good, you know, they became way better players right away once they understood that. So, and I think it humbled them, which, you know, is why they are continuously still improving their game.
No, right. Like I always use it to make me like more hungry. Like I think about it like, so like everything, like if I wake up and decide to not work out, well, guess what? Somebody is. So how can I be upset with myself if things don't go the way I want them to at the tournament? Because guess what? That dude over there probably did wake up and whatever, go for an extra mile run or didn't eat that bowl of ice cream or, you know, whatever you want to say.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, it's good. It's always good fuel for the fire.
Oh, always. And so like, do you think kids? We ask a lot of people this question because we feel like kids today are soft. Do you feel the same way that like younger kids don't necessarily have the grit of some of like the later '90s and the early 2000s kids? So we feel like a lot of kids want to get handed stuff. We see that a lot. Oh, I had a good tournament. I deserve to be pro.
Yeah, I definitely would agree with that to an extent. I think most of that is blamed on social media. You know, for the guys like in my era and stuff, it was learning from the pros. So like I said, when Joe Barrett and Kyle Berry came out, they learned fast. Like this is how it really is because people, person to person, you're gonna tell people really what's going on, right? On social media, it's not that everyone is fake in a sense, but you can't put truth out there 100%. You're gonna hurt people's feelings. You're not gonna always be the favorite, stuff like that, right? So do they have the grit? I think it's there. I just think it takes someone willing to be the bad guy to really get them to, you know, bring it out and show that they have it. Because like I said, we've built quite a few winners, like all the way from my brother and Keith Brown, who, you know, my brother, I think he's just turned 25 a couple of days ago. So he's still super young, right? So he's in that era of players that supposedly don't have the grit, but he didn't have the ability to not have it, I would say. Like, I mean, anything that he messed up on, I let him know. Anytime he had an attitude, I let him know. So I think it just, It requires someone willing to put forth the effort to break their barriers. And a lot of the problems behind that is parents. Like, it's hard to coach a kid at a young age and get them to understand it's a team sport and how much like effort they need to put in, and beat some sense into them if their parents are always comforting them and telling them how great they are at everything in life when they're not. So, that's probably the issue there.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree because it definitely has a lot to do with like parenting. Because like I'm going to be 33 this year. My brother is 26, so there's a little bit difference between us as far as age go. But we kind of both are the same kind of thought process when it comes to that. Like we're not afraid to put in the extra work and do this, that, or the other thing. And I find like even my brother says like a lot of people my age just like the second things get hard, oh, I'm going to drop it. Oh, whatever. We got 0-4 at this tournament. Fuck paintball. I quit.
And I think that's another weird thing, that quitting is cool. Like I see it on posts all the time when people are like, man, I'm so glad I quit before this, or I quit before that. We're like, when I quit something, I quit. Like I'm out.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to see me posting on anything. I'm not trying to hang out. I'm not sending you memes. I'm not trying to be a part of the story anymore. Like the day I'm done, I'm done. And so like when I see that, it's like, did you quit or are you just being a little pussy? Like, all right, what's going on here? Like, did you quit or did it get hard and you're just taking a step back and you're waiting for the next hand me out? Because I've seen so many like guys make it to semi-pro, and yeah, maybe they got to spend a little bit more money, or you got to shoot a little bit more paint in practice, train a little bit harder, practice a little more. It's too much, so they quit, wait for their rank to drop, come back, smash some kids in D2 and feel like a superstar. It's like they said to quit. No, what you did is you just took the easy road, walked away, and then you came back to have an easy tournament. So yeah, I hate when I see people bragging about quitting. It's crazy, and I feel like this is the one sport that you see it the most. Go follow some golf posts or baseball. You never see anyone bragging about quitting. It's always more of a depressing statement. Like I'm sad that I don't get to play baseball anymore. I loved playing baseball growing up. It's like one of those things. I would never go and be like, I quit. No, I ended up choosing paintball over baseball. I didn't go to college on a baseball scholarship. So I was already pro in paintball. I stuck with paintball. That's my life. But it's just crazy to see how many people brag about quitting.
Oh, yeah. No, it's so funny you were saying that because we have like a bunch of crew on Long Island and we call the D4 for life crew because they'll play for a little bit, get their rank up, and then they won't play for a little bit. So then they could go play more D4.
Yep. Yeah. It's everywhere. It's crazy.
It's not just down there.
I saw it a lot. I just started an X-Ball league. So we had our first event this past weekend or whatever. And just looking at people's rosters and stuff like that, I'm like, I remember playing these guys in D4 in like 2013. Now they're signing up for my tournament in 2020. And I'm like looking at it and I'm like, oh, I know what they're doing. They took the last event off of the year for every year so they don't rank up. So they and then I got a million messages for reclassifications and things like that. And I just had to tell people straight up, I'm like, dude, you don't even deserve to be the one D3 player on a D4 team, dude. You need to put a D3 team in. Put a D3 team in. So I don't know, man. Whatever. I don't even know to go with that with all those people.
No, come on, Waldo, tell us how you really feel.
It's crazy.
Play Division 3. That's how I fucking feel. Play Division 3. Stop fucking trying to figure out a way to play Division 4. Like, just play Division 3. It's not that bad. And especially because I gave out.
That's why people got better.
Say that again.
I think that's why people got better quicker back in the day, because technically it was like local, and then it was, if you were going to a national event, there was 3 divisions. It was like amateur B, amateur A, pro. Then they brought in novice, amateur B, amateur A, pro. It was still rough. It was a rough 4 divisions. There was only 5-man and 10-man at the tournaments. Then there was only 7-man. Now, as a brand ambassador for Bunkerkings, after one NXL event, I will get 15 messages from people that tell me they got first place at Las Vegas. And I don't understand how that's possible. But then I find out they play 2-man, 3-man, race to 2, 5-man, 10-man, mechanical, X-ball. So it's like there was 15 different events at Vegas. Like, so you have all these people that think they're winners when they're not. Like, unfortunately, you're not. Like, did you win in what the actual event contest was? Did you win X-ball? Did you win just the 5-man? No. Like, I hate that. Like, sometimes there's a separate division of 10-man. There's Mounds mechanical, and then there's Mounds electronic. It's like, how can there be this many events? Like, let's just go back to 3 to 4 divisions. and let's just blast each other and get better. Like, force
I
yourself to
agree.
be a better paintball player. It's just crazy. Like, I don't get it.
No, I agree. Everyone gets a trophy. You want a trophy? Yeah. You won 10-man fight? Yeah.
Yeah.
You want a trophy? Yeah. You can get one too.
Yeah, I'm guessing someone over there is in the trophy business. Something's
Killing
happening.
it, cleaning up.
Yeah.
Or the big fake check business.
Yeah, exactly. No, they just erase that and rewrite it.
No, I know. But they've been getting rings now. The rings are a thing.
Yeah. Yep.
I know they're nice though. I kind of want a ring. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, but a
only have
first
one.
place.
The Canadian X-Ball League.
Oh, so you've played in the CXBL or whatever it's called up there?
Yeah, I played in it 2 years in a row. I played with Windsor Lockdown. Went the first year, we got second, and then we went back and we beat Heat and got first. And it was funny because my brother was playing with us, quit Damage, went and played with Heat, and then I had to beat him to get first place. So that was pretty funny. Yeah. And so 2 years in a row, he got second, 2 different teams. So he was super upset about that because he's another one. Like, we've won both series, 7-man, X-Ball, everything. We've never gotten rings, right? It was always right before it. Like, even with 7-man, it was right before the rings. Even before X-Ball, it was right before the rings. So we all somehow win before they design these awesome rings. So yeah, it was pretty cool to get the CXBL ring. You'd think you'd like showcase it and have it. I don't know. It's in one of my computer drawers somewhere, but yeah, it's nice. And like the old school guys bring them to ICC, and they have like 3 on each hand and stuff like that. It's always funny to see like they're rocking it. So maybe when I'm 40 or 50, I'll start wearing it to the club or something, go gambling with it, but who knows?
Now you need to do the Kevin Donaldson way and get a hot tub you don't use, and he keeps all his trophies and rings in a hot tub at his house.
Yeah, I wish.
Speaking of Kevin, and speaking of what we were just talking about all the teams, like, you know, sec 2-man, sec 10-man. So realistically, if you're the first place 2-man team, this is something Kevin would say, you're the 500th best team in the tournament.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm sure it feels good, right? Like, I know we were in Europe. We were in Europe playing with 5-star. Harris Hussein was there playing with the semi-pro 5-star team. Myself, Montresor, and Jake were playing with the pro 5-star team. We get knocked out. Harris comes over to Jacob and he's like, "Hey, man," like Harrison comes over to Jacob. He's like, "If we play this 3-man, it's open. We can make like 2,000 euros or something crazy." And he's like, Jacob's like, "All right, let's try it. I guess there's going to be some good, knocked out pro players in there." So it ends up being Silas Cortez, who was on Damage, that was also playing with the semi-pro 5-star team. Harris from New York Extreme, and Jacob from Damage. And then Harris and Fry tried to jump in, but they wouldn't let him play because they wanted to not split the money between 4 people. So those 3 went and played, and they lost 1 point, and it was like a race to 3 or something. And they lost 1 point just because they got over, like, way too cocky, but they played the whole 3-man tournament on 2 cases of paint. And they were just like laughing the whole time, like, how could it be this easy? And like, they go up there and they're making funny team names. They were doing everything. And it was just, that to me was like the nail in the coffin. I was like, this is a joke. Like, I get it. People are sad about being knocked out of the tournament. What are they going to do on Sunday? What you should do is soak in your tears, go sit in the grandstands, watch the winners play, and try to do better next event. It sucks, but that's how it should be. Like, or go to the vendors, spend your money in there, like, do something. Yeah. But like, don't just go play another division and another style of paintball. Like, take all those refs and put them on the other fields and decrease cheating. Something. Like, don't just waste time and money. Like, but yeah, it was crazy to watch them do that. They asked me if I wanted to play, and I was like, I just can't make myself do it. Like, I knew it was going to be way too easy and stupid. And I was like, if I played it and I won, I would just feel bad. And it was funny because they obviously did not feel bad. They were just wearing kids out. Like, they loved every second of it. But it was just, it blew my mind that was happening. And I didn't even know that was happening everywhere, like in the US, Europe, everything, until I really started to get the messages for Bunkerkings and Virtue about all these people saying they were winning all these events at the same event, basically. So crazy.
So with talking about the European X-Ball League, and like, I know that Tampa Bay Damage can't go over because that only, like, no American teams, but do you have any plans? And I'm sure maybe adding another one to your family might put a hold on that too, but do you have any plans of playing with any of the teams over there?
Not really. So like, I stopped going for a long time. I just went back and played 2 years ago with 5-star because it was Tim Montresor, my brother. I knew I was trying to have a kid, so that was the year that I had my first kid. it was more of like a last ditch effort vacation / have some fun over there. I really did enjoy it. I probably would go back if the pay was good or something, but I mean, you're talking like it's like 24 hours traveling there, 24 hours back. Most of the teams over there require you to come out and practice with their team. So, for instance, like the very first event with 5-star, we were there for 14 days. Like, it was insane. We basically did a mini clinic with the team, got everyone on the same page, played. It was really fun. It was a great time with them. But I mean, that's a long time to be away. It definitely hindered some of my work with Virtue at the time because, like, you know, you're doing your best to stay up to date with your emails and, you know, checking your phone calls and everything, but you're never able to do it. Not when you're trying to win a tournament. So I probably wouldn't go back. Plus, they're limited on so many. Like, they can only have 2 pros, I think, or something, like 2 U.S. pros on each roster. So most of those teams aren't looking for someone that plays my position. And, you know, as a back player that moves into an insert role, they're looking for usually like a Keith Brown, like a fast snake guy, a mouse, or someone that's already built up such a good rapport with those people. So like Tim Montresor will play with 5-star if the season actually happens, just because he's always played with 5-star. The last year was the first time he didn't. So they were eager to get him back. So for me, I wouldn't. Would I entertain the idea if it was brought up? Yeah, but I'm not trying to put myself out there to make it happen. Like, I'm not going over there for free. That's for sure.
Right. You're not really putting yourself out there, but if it fell in your lap, you'd be like, yeah.
And see, that's the problem with the Joe Barretts, the Harrison Fries, like all those young buck pros. They're willing to do that stuff for free, right? So they're not. It's not like I'm this much better than they are. You know, we're all equal caliber. Some of us have better skill sets. Some of us have better experience and can probably be a better team player. Some of us are better than other pro players. But when you're talking about someone that's willing to do it for 1,500 euros an event and someone that's willing to do it for free, a lot of those teams are self-funded. So they're gonna take that risk of taking that free guy over there and hope he has a sweet tournament.
Yeah. Fry is always on the move. Harrison Fry is like, I follow him on Instagram. Every day he has a store. I feel like he's in an airport going somewhere doing something. It's insane.
Until COVID hit. Now he's like a farmer. He's like a hippie farmer or something, cutting logs and collecting chicken eggs. I don't know. I talk to Harrison every day, like almost on Instagram especially, but he's doing something. That kid's got one life. He's got his own crazy life that's going on.
No, for sure.
Yelling about trash.
Yeah. He was definitely a cool guy to meet when he played on GZ for the year. I was definitely glad I got to talk to him in person.
Yep. Yeah. He's a funny guy.
Oh no, hilarious. So before we get too far off tangent, I want to ask you too about being like an ambassador to the company and stuff. I know social media presence is a huge thing. So how important do you think that is for your company, and what are some of the things you're trying to do to like help increase your social media profile?
So it's massive. I mean, like I said, I didn't go to school for social media or anything like that. It was just something that was kind of put in my lap. In fact, my very first Instagram, like when I very first created Instagram, I was doing the dye photo shoot back in my fit days, and they were like, "Hey, you have to have an Instagram." Didn't even know what Instagram was, right? So it's huge. Like the fact that more teams and more players don't push it and pursue it, because you can do really well on just social media as well if you build up a proper following. It is probably the largest negotiation tool for sponsorships nowadays as well, for pro teams, divisional teams, semi-pro, everything. How active you are, how influential you are, everything. So it's massive. So for Bunker Kings, it's a huge thing for us. I've actually been writing a script right now about bringing in brand ambassadors, even though that like solos, almost like a supplement company would, because even one person can have such a big influence. Lauren Salinas, for instance, right? You know, just a female person in the paintball industry that's easy on the eyes, right? So she herself receives numerous amounts of gear that I'm sure every D3 paintball player out there would love to have. And they could do it if they put in the effort, right? But they don't. So, you know, she's just an example. There's, you know, all the guys that make their own YouTube channels, people that do barrel cam footage. Like one of my all-time favorites, he's an awesome dude. Just recently sponsored him this year. He was one of my first Bunker King brand ambassadors last year, is Grayson Gladstone. So like now I sponsor his entire team, but his barrel cam footage, like, you know, he's always out there just ripping people apart, but he does it in a positive manner. Like, does he get 4 and 5 packs in some of these points that he's filming? Yeah. Is he filming his bad points? Absolutely not. Who does that? But he's posting all this awesome footage of him just mowing people down. And, you know, I didn't know him at all. I honestly met the guy through Instagram, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a huge influence that people could have, and it doesn't take a tremendous amount of work. But I will say, as a team manager, and not just the Bunker Kings brand manager, as a team manager, it's insane how hard it is to beat it into people's head that they need to post more. They need to be more active. They need to like engage in conversations on there. Sometimes I post things that I already know the answer to. Maybe I want some clarity. For instance, I just posted something about a conversation I had at the paintball field that turned into me reading all the Facebook, pages and seeing that a lot of people still claim that old markers are better than new markers. And I was like, someone please explain to me how this is possible, because I've played with all the old markers and I've played with all the new ones, and new is always going to beat the old. Do I think the shot on an auto cocker is awesome? Do I think the old body matrix, the one ball on that was amazing? Absolutely. But am I trying to run and dive every point with that versus a Lux that's super light and I know I can hit the ground as hard as I want, come up and it's still going to shoot? No, like also I hate cleaning my gun. I'm not one of those guys that wants to clean my gun every day, every weekend, right? So back in the day, you had to tinker with that gun and tune it and time it. So I made this Facebook post. It was at like 200 comments the other day, and I was like telling all my guys and like, do something like that, like engage, like get your name out there and talk to people. Your jersey sales go up. The team brand is worth more. Like that's all it is. So as a brand ambassador, I look for all those things on Instagram and Facebook. People who do the proper hashtags, the people who are tagging Bunker Kings and not tagging, other companies out there that are obviously enemy companies, right? Like, competition. So I can't share your post if you have this awesome command goggle on, but you got, HK logos all over your arms and stuff like that, right? So it's something that people don't understand, and they'll get upset about it. Like, I just sent you this awesome photo and you didn't even like share it. It's better than this person's photo. Obviously I can't promote another brand. Like you're like a walking billboard, that's really how paintball and everything is now with Instagram, with social media. So yeah, I wish more people understood that.
No, you're so right. Like, I'm going to tell on us a little bit right here. Like, when we were starting this podcast, we had a thing like pick two names, A, this name, B, this name. We already had the name picked out. We knew what it was going to be called anyway. We still posted that, got people to comment. We had like 30, 40, 50 people that commented, A, and we got that engagement.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, giveaways are another thing that you can do, but the only problem that I have with giveaways is I feel like so many people follow the rules and follow you and then immediately unfollow you. And I don't look at them as like worthy subscribers or anything like that. So Bunker Kings isn't one to do a ton of giveaways. If I do a giveaway, it's usually something clever that I like to have engagement with. I know there are other companies that literally do a giveaway almost every day, which is awesome. They have a huge following. They're doing it right. But for me, like I'm more of like a brand loyalty person I look for. So it's some of the messages I receive, even a nice message about a product that is, they may have had issues with, but if they express it properly and give me good feedback, that's someone that I'll probably follow and continuously look at and see what kind of paintball do they play? Why did they have that problem? Do they still trust the products? Are they loyal? Did they like the engagement back? Stuff like that. So I definitely right there with you guys on engagement. Like I wish more people would do it.
Yeah, it wasn't even something we really realized until we started this podcast, and we have a guy that kind of helps us out with that, and he stressed to us like how important it is. And already we've seen like such a good return in the little, like this podcast has been a thing for I think maybe even 2 months. And we've seen like significant improvement.
Yeah. Yeah, and the bigger you get, the more work it takes. I mean, that's one thing people don't understand, but it almost becomes addicting, and you also learn so many shortcuts. And most of the comments, most of the the messages you get, they're all pretty much the same. So you learn to respond so fast and give them exactly what they need to continue forward. But it is crazy because like I think my personal Instagram account only has like 8,000 something followers, where I think Bunker King is like probably 20 or something. I don't know. And my damage one is 30 on Facebook, like 30,000. It's a lot of stuff to keep up with. So when I tell people, it's like when you're not doing a brand, you're not doing a team, you're just doing yourself. Like it should be really easy to be super engaging and awesome with people on there. So like you guys know, yours is building. So I'm sure you've seen the influx of messages and comments and the amount of people that require a reply. So
no, for sure. But it's good. You need that stuff, and you like to reply because then I feel like the people that we reply to and stuff, they show up in like our live chats, and they're the ones commenting, and you're really building a rapport with like your fan base.
Yep, exactly.
Cool.
And they're usually the ones that give you the real, honest, good feedback.
Right, right.
Yeah, you can always filter out the trolls and the reels.
Right. You know what's real and what's not. But I do want to get to one more thing before we definitely get going. Is that I love the pickups you guys have had this year. I think you guys have a solid team. So what does the future hold for Tampa Bay Damage? I know like the season's kind of, I guess, gonna have an asterisk next to it. Whatever. Yeah. Iron Men are the season champs. Whatever you want to say. But I think the future for your team is bright, and I'm excited to watch to see how it breaks down. You picked up Keith Brown this year. You stayed on the team. You guys have some real killers. So what do you see for the future for Damage?
Yeah, so we picked up Keith last year, which helped us a lot. He came in with too much pressure on his own, which he put on himself. He thought he had to come be a superstar that everyone wanted him to be. We just wanted a snake side killer, right? So I think last year, it hit him in the gut a little bit, and it took him a little bit to feel that. This year, we picked up Brad McCurley. We kept everyone that we had, and we knew going into Vegas we were going to win. Like we were more confident we were going to win the event based on practices, based on how everyone was like gelling. We're out there bowling together, on practice weekends. We just had like such good team chemistry going in that unfortunate call against Russians and us allowing the game to be as close as it was just, sucked for us because we just beat them the day before. Like we should have played another team. We should have went out and beat them, knocked everyone out. And then if we had to play the Russians again in the finals, so be it. But, we knew that this year was ours, and not being able to play the next event after Vegas, it probably hurt a lot of teams because they just have a lot of money hungry players on it. We're just out there trying to play to win and to build like the relationship with ourselves and prove to ourselves that we can win again and that we are a top tier team. So with the little bit of practice that we had in the offseason and then the 2 weekends before Vegas, as well as we did, as well as we felt, and how good like our sponsors were with us, and like just the bond between ourselves, our sponsors, our teams, and our fans, like this year, even if we play another event and World Cup, I still have complete confidence in winning at least World Cup. I would like to win, whatever event is prior to World Cup and World Cup. But next year, I personally want to say complete domination. Like I think Damage will be back to the prime that it was. Brad lives down here, so Keith just moved back to Florida. He was living in Texas that first year, so now he's back in Florida. So as long as we can keep everyone on the team, which I don't see anyone wanting to leave the team, and everyone stays as hungry as they are, I would love to say if there was 5 events last year, we would win a minimum of 3. And that's like not even trying to like oversell it. I just feel like the chemistry that's on the team now is the exact same as when we were winning everything. And I haven't felt that in several years. Like at the end of us winning those, 6 events in a row or whatever it was, I didn't even feel like the chemistry was that strong. It was just the only thing to do was win. It just felt normal at that point, right? Like it was 3 7-mans in a row and 3 X balls. It just felt normal. But like now that we've been so close, like we had one successful year on the rebuild where we got a third, second, and a third, losing it, going back down to 7th, 8th places and stuff like that. Really crushed the guys that stayed in and fought. But now having such depth in our roster, like is so much pressure off of everyone that like we were able to go out there and just do what we had to do and win. And I think that's going to be like the selling point in the team now.
Yeah, no, for sure. I know, like I'm definitely excited to see because I feel the same way you do. I think your team is going to do really well. And I'm a little upset to see so many events canceled because I think you're right. If you were able to play the next event at Vegas, I think you guys definitely could have taken it for sure.
Yeah. Me too. Like the fire was strong after Vegas. Like we had to control guys from posting certain things on social media. We had to like tell everyone, don't worry, there's another event coming up. We'll go out there and we'll smash everyone even worse. And yeah, like it sucked because like, the fire definitely dulled down. Everyone's got, personal stuff going on right now in real life and trying not to contract this virus and everything like that. But, it's still there. Like even for me, just going out and playing 2 weekends ago after such a long break, like the fuel's there. Like it was hard not to shoot people like I was playing a professional tournament. So.
All right,
So
cool.
what do you think of your conference and this whole conference system? Are you a fan of it or it's just
I find it weird.
stopgate?
I find it weird. I mean, we should be East Coast Conference, like we're Florida. So I found that weird, but I do understand trying to divvy out competition, whatever they're trying to do, make it fair. I understand that. And I know it's hard and they're basically just reacting to a terrible situation, but I don't personally believe the conference thing is even going to happen without an announcement already on what fields are going to host it, because it would have to be 3 separate events at the same time, or else they're going to have to do 3 separate layouts, because it wouldn't be fair for whoever's playing the last tournament of the same layout. So without any kind of publication of like the event is this time at these fields with this layout, I don't think it's going to happen. I truly think it's going to end up being one event and then World Cup. Like that's the only way I could see it. Or worst case scenario, just World Cup. And that's just like the dead honest truth, because I mean the clock's ticking. Like we're running out of time to structure and schedule 3 regional events. So
Yeah,
I mean, I was excited to see how it goes, but I mean, I wasn't a fan of it. I love seeing my friends on all the other pro teams. So like not being able to see them at the event made it like, seem kind of shitty in a way. As a Bunkerkings brand manager, it seemed kind of hard to say which regional event's going to be better financially and economically for the company to go to, because you can't attend all 3. So, it just seemed like a really hard situation for everything. So I would hope that it actually doesn't happen and we just play one more big event and the World Cup.
All right, cool. So, you got anything else, Waldo?
I mean, the one last thing. So I know you just said something about, as far as like attending. Do you attend regional events? I know MVPS is down there and stuff like that. So, as being the brand ambassador and everything like that, are you going to the events yourself, or?
We did do the first MVPS last year with a booth. The BKI was there for the combine and everything. MVPS has a structure put in place with another partner of the business that if his company sells your product, he vends your product at the event, right? So Bunkerkings does not have a booth at the event. So if I do go, I just go as either Jason Edwards of Bunkerkings or Jason Edwards of Damage, and pretty much just go root on my friends, hang out and stuff like that. I don't go and try to sell any product or anything. If someone has an issue with something and I can fix it right there on the spot, I take care of that. I try to take some good pictures of the teams that I know we sponsored that are there. But yeah, I don't go there and do a booth or anything. And then all the other regional events, if Bunkerkings or Virtue is there, it's typically a vendor, a dealer of Bunkerkings and Virtue that is they're selling the product, and it helps them build their business. And then we're just, selling them the product. So we don't do like DLX is at every event. But they have like a gun detect and everything, like a control. If it breaks, typically it's double A's or something, and they just got to replace it. Where like Luxes, Geos, all those DMs, everything, it's, they actually need a tech there. So yeah, we don't really go around like those companies do. I wish we did, even if it wasn't just me. Like I know some of the guys wish we could be at more events. We do have the Virtue guys go out to the WCPPL often, but even they haven't been doing that because one of our major like dealers over there took over that role as well. So just go and hang out.
But we'll see you at. But ICC, you guys did, right? You do ICC and then the NXLs, obviously.
Yeah, we did ICC because it was easy to take the trailer from Philly to there. So after the X-Ball event, right now I think our trailer is probably still in Vegas. So I would like to see them bring it down to ICC and have a booth there, because it was cool having such a major booth at that event, even though it was a massive event. There wasn't anyone really there with the big trucks and trailers like showcasing like we were. So I would like to do that again. And the location we had was prime because it was like I could, sell some products and then turn around and watch Hyperball. So I would like to do it again. We are planning on it, but it hasn't been confirmed yet. It's going to probably depend on what Tim says and how large, of a gathering they can actually have. Like if it's going to be just players and no families and stuff like that, then, probably not, just because we would be added to those numbers.
Right.
It's a weird time we live in right now.
No, man, I hear you for sure. No, man. I mean, so I'm pretty much good. I don't know if Travis has anything to ask, but
I got 2 more quick ones.
Okay.
One, so with the control loaders, this is more of a personal question. Are you just going to sell like the top pieces? Because I really like what you have in the picture, how you got the camo on top and black on the bottom. Is that going to ever be an option?
So I know you'll be able to purchase and customize top and bottom. I don't think it'll be sold separately. It'd be like if you were to buy another loader, you can pick what you want. And we were contemplating on actually selling, say you bought a camo one, you would still get top and bottom, but we were going to allow a free pick of another top shell. So you could, adjust it and figure out what kind of designs you want to make. That's the idea we were playing with just recently. Obviously, manufacturing is awful right now, so getting in product to do something like that. But that is the plan, with like being able to do color combos and stuff with the controls.
All right, cool. And the other thing I wanted to say is too, so do you have a new product you want to release on this show for our listeners? You got something new coming out?
We do have something new. It was showcased at Extravaganza, but our luggage line is on its way in right now. And so we do have the little European bag. I call it European.
Here we go. This is what I want. Sneak peeks. Here we go.
So this is called the phone wallet keys bag. It can be worn as a fanny pack or the single arm over the like over your shoulder, but it literally holds everything, like my iPad, everything. So whether you're a tech or something like that, or if you're just, for me, like I wear gym shorts at the field when I'm not playing. And I don't know if you've ever done a full sprint in gym shorts with a phone and some keys and a wallet. It doesn't hit the favorite spots of the guy. Yeah. So I actually have been using that since Extravaganza, and it paid off really good in Vegas because, like I said, my D2 line was winning. So going from the pro field to the booth to their field and back, I don't know if you went to Vegas or not, but the layout was awful. So it was a ton of running. So that thing was nice because I always had everything on me, and I'm not one person to always remember my ID in my like pocket. So I just kept it in there. So we have quite a few different luggage style bags coming, as well as a gear bag. So that should be any day actually. Now I know they've got it either in and they're taking the photos now, or we are about to receive them. So that's the next newest product for Bunker Kings.
Awesome. Yeah, I know we talked a lot about Bunker Kings, but feel free to plug any other sponsors from Damage. Tell them where they can find you, all that kind of stuff before we check out of here.
Definitely. So, I mean, Damage sponsors have always been the best for us, all the way from the DLX with our Luxes, Official Freak for our barrels, Bunker Kings for basically everything head to toe, Virtue Paintball in there. Best paint in the league right now for us is APX and Social Paintball. We split the two between practices and events. Powerhouse Regs, which always keeps our tanks nice and aired up. We use First Strike bottles. We've had them as a sponsor. They're kind of a silent sponsor. We've had them for quite some time. Super light tanks. Central Florida Paintball for always allowing us to be out there, and all of our friends and family coming out and playing, and basically letting us have our own field when we need it. So I think that's pretty much all of them. Sandana Paintball this year, we just recently signed them. Unroller Paintball, so they help us make all of our dry fit apparel and everything. And then Anthrax Paintball, who's pretty much laced us up since the second year of the rebuild, with all of our new jerseys. And a lot of people don't know that Sandana and Anthrax partnered up. So that really hot jersey that everyone wanted in Vegas, that was the combination between the two. That's how we were able to get the flying skulls all down the sides and everything.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. All right, cool. So again, thank you for joining us. It was great. I love getting to meet all the pro guys. I feel like we're kind of getting to know each other a little bit through the podcast that I do, and you're another one now. I would love to remind everyone to subscribe, rate, and review to all of our content, not just ours. Go to the Bunker King Facebook, go to Tampa Bay Damage Instagram, follow all that stuff, follow Jason, and get out and play some paintball, guys. A lot of places are open, so I want to hear your stories. Start messaging us some stories, and you know what? If you send us a good war story, maybe we'll talk about it on the show one time.
Definitely.
All right, guys, take it easy.